Welcome, all of our viewers and supporters, to the Highlight Podcast. I'm Ron Carson, your host, and today, allow me to introduce you to Fajr Delane. She's born in D.C., traveled across the world. As a Bill and Melinda Gates Millennium Scholar and a PEO Star Scholar, she pursued international business at the prestigious Howard University. Fajr is a visionary, founder of Fun, Fit, and Fabulous, a health and wellness initiative empowering young girls to embrace physical, mental, and emotional well-being. She's also established College Prep for Success, guiding students aged between 9 to 18 toward higher education with resources on college goals, academic endurance, and scholarship opportunities. Beyond her community work, she's very talented. She just recently was showcased in a documentary short film called Courageous Conversations, and you definitely should go check it out. Her dedication has taken her to global platforms representing her community at the very best. She was definitely at the United Nations Human Rights Summit and the Parliament of World Religions. From Harvard to Johannesburg, her voice has inspired many. And without further ado, I want to welcome you all to Fajr Delane. How are you?
That was great. Thank you so much, Ron. That was so awesome. Really amazing introduction.
No problem.
Appreciate you.
My pleasure. How is things going for you today? You've been busy and running around. Can you tell us what you're up to these days, and we'll kind of backtrack a little bit too? But yeah.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, it's been a busy week. Been working with the Boys and Girls Clubs kids with my program, Fun, Fit, Fabulous. I'm currently partnered with them, and I have expanded out to different satellite locations within Athens. So currently I'm at H.T. Edwards, Smilo, and some of those satellite hubs are like Rock Springs, Parkview, Nellie B, and I'm probably missing one or two. Right. But yes, I think Broadacres, if I haven't mentioned that. Mm-hmm. So I'm usually like there around the week, making my rounds, doing my program, right. Getting things ready. Also, like by the end of the month is when my reports are due. So like it's a busy time for me. Yeah. But other than that, like life's been good. It's getting warmer outside. I'm glad it's getting a little warmer outside. I'm usually like a cold person, but like recently I've been kind of getting sick in the winter, and also being around kids, like if they catch something, you can catch something. So that was a new experience for me, but God bless, got through that. So I'm like, let's look forward to some spring. But other than that, just been kind of busy, like what you said with the premiere recently in Atlanta, sold out. That was amazing. Had some of my family there. Was in DC back at Howard University, something I co-founded called HEP Job Fest. They honored me as they wanted me to do a legacy speech. So did that a couple weeks ago.
So things aren't slowing down at all.
I mean, it's been a busy time, and I don't know if it's just because it's springtime or the new year, but honestly, I do feel like sometimes this is a busy time for me, like in the year. But I feel like after spring, it kind of like calms a little bit. I mean, there may be stuff here and there, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people try to get a lot of stuff out in the spring. But then think about the months. So we got Black History Month, February, Women's History Month.
This month.
March, so I'm always kind of alert of like, being open to community who wants to reach out or get me to places or whatever. So.
Right. What'd you do during Black History Month?
I spoke with a 5th grade class. They interviewed me. We did a hot wing challenge, which was really fun. It was some real hot sauce. Yeah. 3rd was no joke.
Any Trinidad pepper spice in there? No?
I mean, probably. I still look really in the ingredients, honestly. But the kids did a good job. They asked me questions, and I kind of had to just take a bite regardless. Like, even if I answered it, they were like, after 2 questions, you need to take a bite, So I'm like,
can't be right all the time.
Yeah, so it was interesting. But yeah, I think that's what I mainly did. And like I said, I think I went to Howard in February.
True. Well, I do want to start mostly with your program. I love the fact that you're a young entrepreneur with your nonprofit, and that you are taking your time to work here in Athens and build up your community and build up, your own platform. And so I want you to kind of give the audience some insight just to what, how you got started with Fit Fabulous, Fit Fun and Fabulous. How did that, what were the early starts of that?
Yeah, so the early starts of it was really me doing the work, with my health. So it really started many moons ago. I was in California. I was doing this project, and it was nothing related to my business, like of how I made it, but it was an initial spark. So when I was in middle school, I was athletic, like I played basketball and stuff like that, but I would be chugging like Pepsis and stuff like that every day, like maybe 2 bottles or whatever. And I'm like, I'm an athlete, like I'm working out, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like, I'm working it out. Like I should be fine. Right. But I didn't really pay attention too much to what I was consuming, but I had a project in 9th grade where we had to track our nutrition. And I was like, this is interesting. Well, let me just check it out, you know? And it was kind of like annoying because everything I ate, I had to say how many calories, it was very diligent, you know, but at the same time, I was like more conscious about what I was eating. But we had a project that showed like how much sugar is in a natural soda or juice. And I wasn't like big on like, okay, trying to make a whole revolutionary style, but I was just like, let me just try to maybe do water or juices, you know, for this project, see how I feel. And I just started to see like, I was feeling for the most part on a good base, but I feel like I got so much more clarity and like just was able to move around the world just a little bit more like open-minded and less fog. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like, really? Just by like, you know, maybe not drinking so much soda. I mean, still definitely consume it, but like I was like chugging it maybe like a couple times a day. So when I took that out, I'm like, I feel like I have more energy. I'm like thinking more. So I'm like, this is something a little magical, you know? So I just kind of like was, you know, doing it for myself. And I'm like, I know this is a project, but maybe I can incorporate this in my life a little bit more after this. And when I was coming up with a project name, I think I coined the terminology Fun Fit Fabulous, like of my project that I was working on. So like I was at the cafe with my dad and I was like, I think I want to call like my project for this project I had to do Fun Fit Fabulous, right? So it first was like an idea and then it started to grow. I was like, you got the mind, body, soul, like how is that all working together? And it initially started there. I was brainstorming. I wanted, you know, to empower girls, stuff like that. But I don't think my community was there. So fast forward the next year, my mom wants to take us to Georgia, you know, job offer, moving her kids, wanted a different arena.
And at this time, where are you? Sorry.
9th grade, finishing 9th grade, going into 10th grade. So the summer of before 10th grade.
I mean, like where location wise? Where were you moving
in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
So cool. San Jose, California, Fremont was where my school was. I was at a private school that year.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so
came to Georgia,
came to Clark Central. So I'm back at a public school. I was in a public school in middle school, but then I went to a private for 1 year.
Wow.
And then went back to a public, and I'm like,
okay, right,
whoa.
Right there. Like, okay, I had a very similar experience too, in the sense that I went to public school and private school as well. Wow. So before we get back to your program, because I'm gonna let you finish, how do you feel like that side of experiencing both of those kind of environments? How do you feel like that helped you just understand the world? Yeah, it's totally different. I mean, that private school experience was so much more intimate, you know, so much more intimate, hands-on. It was very like small, as in even the size. It wasn't even like, it probably like the second year of establishment. So that specific private school too was an Islamic high school. Oh, wow. So it was something I was curious with. I started like wearing my hijab maybe, which is like my headscarf, my 7th grade year. And I was in public school, right? But my parents kind of saw me like taking steps religiously a little bit. So they were like, okay, well, you want to go into an environment like that, let's go ahead and look. So that's what my parents were doing. They found this school. It's totally new. It was called Averroes Institute at the time. Now it's called Averroes High School. Okay. But it was very small, you know, stuff like that. But that they gave us so much opportunity of like, since it was small, we were able to go on a lot of more field trips because it didn't take that much. And we were exposed to different innovators and speakers, like, on a more consistent basis. And then, but little stuff like basketball. So I was a basketball girl, like 7th grade year, 6th grade year, I was like, all right, I want to do basketball. And I was playing like middle school. But when I got to the Islamic school, they didn't even have a team for the girls. Oh, wow. So I would play ball with the boys at break. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And
little pickup.
Yeah, little pickup. And I mean, I'm not flirting or anything. I'm trying to get my game in.
Right.
And it was crazy because they were trying to be like girls over here, boys over here. I'm like, that don't apply to me because I'm just playing this game. Like when we ain't got a team, you know, I'm like,
Right.
I ain't think about nothing. I'm literally trying to play this, get these hoops in.
Right.
So, but it was funny because maybe a couple months later on, we had an opportunity to go in front of the board to initiate us being able to play against different people. So one of the principal took me and a different student to advocate for it. So then they started to implement the basketball program. So
moving and shaking before she even got out of school, yo.
yeah, so like, you know, so that was so like everything was like kind of the initiation, starting and seeing it grow, stuff like that. And you know, it was so amazing. I actually got a full ride scholarship the next year, but my mom was moving to Georgia. So, you know, it was so beautiful though. Like the people loved me so much that they were like, if you want to stay at this teacher's house or with one of the students, like we'll be down to do that. So like I had a decision to make. Like a lot of people have like a lot of maybe athletic stories like this type of decision, but mine was academic or just personality. I don't know, that people were willing to like get me where I needed to go. But like I was thinking about it, I'm like, I know college, I want to go away, like do something different, but I was like, I want to spend my like high school with my family. Yeah. So it was hard because it was a great school. Right. But I'm like, you know, I want to finish up these years with my family. I didn't know how the rest of my life was going to look, but that was the decision that I kind of was inclined to. So coming to Georgia, like new, you know, wide-eyed, you know, a lot of people, especially in California, thinks the South is scary. And stuff like that. So I always say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, in our house because that's how we grew up. But then people are like, you have to say it in the South. Like, people, you know, like, look, it's not even like that hard for me because I wouldn't be saying it. But I'm like, people in California, they don't like to be called that. They're like, don't call me sir. Oh, wow. Yeah, they think it's like formality is like a disrespect or something. They think that specifically is like some type of like history problem. They don't, I don't know what, but it's like, don't call me ma'am, sir. I'm like, just Southern hospitality and respect. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they really get that part of it. So just all this like misinformation kind of going around. And when I got here, so I'm like a little scared of like, you know, I don't know what's going to be happening here. I was like, you're in Athens and you're like, never been here. Yeah, never been here. Didn't know. And one thing I was going to say, though, when we came in July. We did a road trip. Oh, wow. And let me tell you, it was so hot when we arrived. I was like, I don't know if I could breathe. Like, because it's a different heat. Like, California heat and Georgia heat is totally different. And I came outside, I'm like, is anything moving? Like, I was like, it's all stuck together. No, literally. And I'm like, am I going to be able to survive? And I was like, is my breath going to catch on to itself? And it did. And I was like, okay, God bless. But I was nervous for a quick second. Of course, I got used to it. Yeah. So when I got to Clark Central, though, it was definitely a different environment. So much kids, like going from this little to like a whole pool of kids, you know, but then it was already established basketball team. It was already established track team. Athletics. So you got counselors galore, not just one, you got a couple and, you know, resources like attached to the school. So it was like definitely more challenging going to a bigger like stuff going on, but it's like, it was like a lot more opportunities. So I think that was the change, like, or the difference between the two, but they both had their uniqueness to it. Right. Well, I love to hear about it. Now you're in high school. What made you want to start Fit, Fun, and Fabulous? So what made me want to start the program, so like I said, the first was that idea, but then what I was having an issue was environment. So where I was definitely in good community and stuff like that, but it just kind of wasn't like the time, I don't think, to be officially birthed. And I was like looking and feeling that. But when I came to Georgia, I really feel like I found that community of like, this is where I feel like I can really do my program. And I feel like the girls can receive the program. So yeah, it was something like junior year. I don't know if I was like, you know, something came over me, but I was talking about Fun Fit Fabulous every day. Right. My mom just kept hearing me like, you keep talking about it. You keep talking about it. I'm like, of course. I'm like, it's just in my brain. It's like something I want to do. She's like, you know, we got to get this out here for you because, I just don't want you to just stay here, keep talking about it. Like, we got to do something about it. I'm like, well, Mom, I don't have a logo. Like, don't you need a logo? So she's like, we're going to start where we can. We're just going to put something up in the Google Doc or whatever.
Right.
So we just did what we had, so we came up with a little sample letter. I was going door to door, reaching out to counselors, trying to see who could sponsor. I rented out the Rock Spring Center and did our first clinic camp there, and like maybe had a UGA speaker who was a nutritionist show us nutrition facts at the back of the food, and
Oh, wow.
my mom helped with the vision boards, and we did so many different things, and at the end we ended off with a fashion show. So you can see the girls coming in very shy, timid, and by the time of the end they were confident and just feeling like Tyra Banks could have, would approve of like, and we had invited some parents, and they were just like, wow, I did not know my daughter had this in her, So it was very magical because I think I was doing a lot of that myself personally. And I was like, I want to share some of these things that I know that has benefited my life to these girls so that they can even succeed and be great. And a lot of people too in Athens, like they would be like, oh, Faj, or like, how do you do what you're doing? And I'm like, let me peep you on game. Like, I just want to show you, like,
Right.
So I'm like, I be doing this. So I really wanted to help, So I was like, look, it's not even rocket science. It's literally a math equation. What you put in, you going to get out. So it's like, you got to be intentional.
What you putting in.
So literally, like, it was my way of giving back to the community. But it literally, by me really having such love for the community, was also building my personal foundation, not only for my business, but for myself. I wanted to go to college. So even you mentioned me getting the Bill Gates scholarship. Part of that is being a leader in your community, doing community service, of course, having good grades, but like just being well-rounded, right? So one of the things I talked about was creating my program. It could be a stretch because it's something you create, but I love what I was doing and I really could see the potential of it. And I was riding on that behalf. So something I created helped me fund my college experience, really, so it's amazing how the circle of life really happens. I think that speaks a little bit to it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely great to hear. I'm curious, like, because you did all this in high school, transitioning into college. You have girls that are watching you. What are some of the difficulties that you've like seen and just trying to teach them how to, one, learn themselves, but like love on each other? How's that process?
Yeah, that's a good one. Sisterhood is key. Okay, y'all. It's key because like really it helps you get through life. Like, I don't know, like what you guys do at like brohood. What is it? Brotherhood?
Yeah, it's brohood.
Brohood or brotherhood. Yeah, that's probably important. So boys, y'all do that too.
Right.
But it's like really being there for your, fellow sister and what she has going on. Like, it can really help, so definitely, like I've always, heard this thing where, we got to definitely support each other because we're each other's biggest assets, really. And there's just so much coming at you all the time. So I feel like having a good variety of people around you doing different things to see where you at, what you want to try, not try, gives you good balance. And I think for me, it's like I had people in my age range, but I also befriended elders, like seniors, and because they have wisdom, because if you really can apply the wisdom of them in your youth, you could really excel. A lot of us be like, nah, I don't even want to talk to these people and figure out myself.
Yeah,
like,
you're hard-headed.
Yeah, right. But at the same, but you know what I'm saying? But if you can just take a little time to listen, you'll be surprised at what can happen. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I heard about college and people were like, it's going to cost all this money. I didn't really have a concept of money in high school because I'm like, what do you mean? Just go to school. I'm walking to school. I didn't really spend no money type stuff. But when you get to college, it's like all this money and it's not free. If you didn't go to a private school right now, it's like real dollars. But then thank God I got the scholarship because we're covering for it. So like Elder was saying, try to get some scholarships, try to see how you're going to fund school. And I didn't know what they were really talking about, but I'm like, all right, let me just try to do what I can to try to get some of this to help me out.
Even if it's not perfect.
Yeah, and sure enough, when I was like, God bless, like, thank God I got this. And I'm like, I understand now. But even when I was going for it, I really didn't understand. But I was trusting, like, it has some wisdom to it, So.
And so with the girls that are in your program, how do you give them that game? How do you give them those nuggets? I can imagine there are probably some that they don't get that so easily as others. They might not have had mom and dad in the house to really show them why college is important. So like, how did you kind of use your program to be a conduit to teach other people what you were learning?
Yeah, that's great. Really meeting them where they're at, so I first try to inspire them of like, who do they want to be? So vision boards are so important to me, like in my program, because I first want like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a business owner, a doctor, or a nail technician? Like, first get them excited about, okay, what you want to do, and we could work back from there. Or this person wants to be a teacher. Okay, so your homework is helping you become a teacher later, because you're going to do that, get a scholarship, get your degree to go be a teacher. Now, if you're doing a business, I'm like bringing those big pictures and then showing them how their everyday was, I guess, contributing to that. So even say for me, like my reality before I got to college, my every day of what I was doing was building towards my future, right? So it's like sometimes hard to see that, but that's what you're actually doing. So I make my own curriculum for the girls, and I have a, customized curriculum to take them through different things to ignite that inspiration, but also to guide them through like good principles and tools that they will actually start to need as they continue to develop. Right. So we've done different things like time management, also to making sure our bodies are feeling good and having good things in our bodies so we can function. So like healthy nutritional smoothies, replacing honey with sugar, just little things, getting like that. And like getting to know your friend, like asking like bingo questions and things like that. So it's a very like tailored program to ignite and really give these girls these tools. So I'm not always talking at them. I'm doing it through activity so that it's actually like being instilled in them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you started the program, it was mostly just you doing it, but you eventually, made some relationships. What was it like getting partnerships to get this program off the ground?
Man,
I remember you said like, you were going door to door looking for sponsors.
Yeah.
Who were some of those early sponsors, and what was that communication like to get them to want to buy in?
Yeah, like honestly, it was just amazing. Like I'm grateful to have gone through the process, because to be here now is such a blessing, and like I think having the conversation with my parents, they were saying this is the stepping stone. Like you going out here on the ground, meeting with people. This is really like to know your business, So I definitely like had to do that groundwork. People saying, "Oh, that's great," or "I'm gonna come," and they don't come, and then some did, But yeah, I was at the farmers markets, maybe networking around, like, hey, passing out a flyer. This is what I'm trying to do for the girls who want to be a sponsor, and so many great people in the community. Like maybe some people on the educational board and stuff like that, I know has been great. People heard, hey, let me connect you to this person. So maybe I didn't know, but they heard about it, like, okay, you'll have it. And then when varsity was still there, had a meeting at a varsity with the sponsor. So I came there with my little PowerPoint presentation packet printed out. This is what I have for the girls. This is how much it needs to rent out the space. Can you sponsor it? And then to get that first, like, oh my God, God bless, because I'm like, now I can do the program, or if they wanted to sponsor a kid, so got to see that initial stuff. And a lot of that was like, really coming from me, advertising, going door to door, posting it around. Right. As I started to do that, I was networking within the local Athens community. I was working at a different organization that partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, and an opportunity came where they heard about my program, and we basically tested run for a semester. So before that, I've just been doing like maybe 1-day clinics and stuff, but I extended it out for like a whole semester. It was really well, got to see what was working, tuning up on some skills. And maybe like a year later after graduation, an opportunity came up where a paid partnership, came to existence. And I was like, all right, this is my time. Like I've been wanting to do this, and like, I want to see it in action. So it honestly has blown me out the waters, because I didn't know what to expect. I definitely had an open mind. I thought I was only going to be working at one location site. Before I knew it, I'm at more location sites. And I'm like, if I can service more girls, that's a dream, So right now it's like really me on the ground, implementing my program, implementing the curriculum I created. Eventually I would love to like, hire people and get people to help and run it, and then be at different places. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Well, like.
So right now you're just one person, but you said 3 different locations?
Actually 6.
6 different locations.
6
different. So it's not about how many of you are working. It's just Get to work.
Get to work. You know, I'm definitely putting in the work. Like, and I heard you say it earlier, you're not afraid of putting that work, you know, but I think it's a skill that, you know, you may learn. I mean, I feel like you learn at any age, but if you learn it early, it's more easier to do it. Like, to me, that's my natural motion, you know, of things.
Yeah.
But like, it is good, like how you said, it's still, you know, have fun, slow.
Yes, got to take a break sometimes.
Sometimes for sure. But like,
I wasn't like that all the time, but I've learned now.
okay. But I'm still, I think, in my building phase. So.
Right. So, okay, we've hit fun, fit, and fabulous. I want to hear about Howard. What's
Howard
business?
hates
Yeah, you know.
Period. You know, he had to do that right, because if not,
Madonna, you know, I did you
gotta
right.
go.
Little bro did you right.
yay.
So yeah, tell me, what was it like going to Howard, the HBCU experience? I went to Savannah State, and I always credit, even having like, you know, private school and public school experience, I love the fact that I got to go to an HBCU.
Oh my God.
How did that?
Down. So amazing. Oh, the journey to Howard was so like unpredictable. I honestly didn't know. So I was applying to different colleges, and I know I told myself at one point, I'm like, man, that's cliche to go to the school my parents went to, because my parents went there, right?
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I'm applying, but this ain't where I'm really probably going.
Right.
And I'm like, why would I go to the same place they did? But I knew they had a great experience, but you know, you like, maybe let me make my own way, do some different type. But it was so crazy. So I was focused on this Georgia school and stuff like this. I actually was looking really heavily into Agnes Scott.
Oh, wow. And
Atlanta.
Yep,
School.
I know.
And they had like that freshman year, you get to travel somewhere international. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So I was really attracted to that. But yeah, I had applied to Howard. I can't remember even what and when I got that acceptance. But what really had my eyes on Howard at some point, what turned it on was, I'm in the counseling office. I was an intern at the office. And what happened was President Barack Obama was speaking. So I was just like, the president is at Howard. And I'm like, what is going on in the school? So I like redid my research, and I'm like, all right, like, let me really look at this. So when I got the official acceptance letter, I was like, yeah, I think this is where I want to go. And it was just like, I was looking for that answer of like what college I want to go to. And it was just like, something kept saying Howard. And I think it was just a changing environment, being in DC, the capital.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to, you know, be around that and just see what that was about. So it ended up really calling me. Like, I kind of applied for it, but like, when it was really time to make that decision, it became clear of like, that's where I wanted to go.
Right.
And the HBCU experience was so important because I got to see Black excellence in a hub, you know, so it was great for my personal development. I
definitely agree. I don't think I would have had as much confidence in just how we can organize and work if I wasn't over at Savannah State. It's a blessing to be around that many Black people, you know, and then to actually have an understanding of like, this is how we should be operating and engaging with each other. Day up there, welcome week. What's that like?
Oh my gosh. I mean, even up there, so, you know, some of my family helped me go move there, right? And I have a lot of siblings. So think about me doing everything, you know, at Clark Central, whatever, all my activities and stuff. Homework. I even did career academy, so I was even taking some college classes, you know. Yep. But even with all that going on, there's like TV yelling, and I'm like doing my work, and it was normal. It wasn't like I'm not like, it was just like my brain was functioning, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, okay, you think about, okay, I'm gonna be in my own dorm, like it's not gonna be all this noise. But honestly, when I got dropped off, I was just like, what is this? I honestly was just like, wait, I miss everybody. Like, I started to kind of come to a realization, like, is this really happening? What does this look like? I haven't really been somewhere by myself, with myself, not a lot of noise around me, hearing my thoughts. I mean, my thoughts were there, but it's just like so much always going on.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, did I really make this decision? And I was like, I can't go home on the weekend. Like, I gotta wait till like it's a holiday. And I'm like, okay, wait, this is getting a lot of pressure. But it forces you to get acclimated to your environment and make new connections. So I had this roommate, you know, we met. It wasn't even like we priorly met, and it just was like a random guy. I think it got placed randomly.
Okay.
It was I didn't know what dorm I wanted to go. So there's the Harriet Tubman Hall.
Okay.
And then there's a new one called CHN for like the freshman girls.
Yeah.
So CHN's very like nice, like like very state of the arts facility. Harriet Tubman Hall, that's like the OG. So like Taraji, like all that historical people probably were up in there, right? So, but my auntie, she stayed at the Harriet Tubman. So I was like, you know what? Man, I could go to that new one, but I'm like, do I want to be like part of just feeling that?
The historic club, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna do it for my first year, and I'm like, my up years, I'll go to something like a little bit more like nicer or something like that. So
Right.
that's what I ended up doing. And it was definitely an interesting experience. Like, we had to share like communal spaces for the bathrooms, where I think that other place, you know, you had your own, you know, so I'm like, this is sacrifice year. This is sacrifice year.
Earning those stripes.
Literally. But I'm like, okay, I'm trying to feel the energy. I was in Douglas Hall. So there was different halls. I was in Douglas, second floor.
What was your major?
I was international. So
I said it already.
Actually, no, but yeah, I came into Howard, honestly, with a different major. I was like, I think I initially maybe was thinking about public health, but I think they just got rid of public health. So I was speaking with my mom and something. We may have thought about like nutrition, health, or what, but I didn't know if I was really into it. But I was like, I'm going to try it. And it was in the nursing school. I went there first I was like, this is not for me. This is not for me. Like, how the people were, and like if you don't pass like your junior year or something like that, you don't get the degree, you have to get something. I was like, no, I'm not doing, like, I don't even want to be part of this. And I didn't really like the environment of people. So, but I kept my eyes open. In my freshman year, I saw these girls coming in with suits like every Monday and Thursday. Then I started peeping the scene. Nick Cannon was coming, Michelle Obama. And where were they going? They're like, oh, they were at Howard today. No, they just weren't at Howard because I didn't see them. They were at the School of Business in Howard. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on in that school, but I need to get in there, because how is like these main people, what is going on? I don't know. But like, to me, that made sense. So I was like, you know, I got to be away from my family, away from home. I'm going to leave here with something. You know that Denzel Washington?
Yep.
I'm going to leave here with something. I'm like, this sacrifice ain't going to waste.
Right.
And I was like, that other school, I was like, that ain't really me. But I'm like, I didn't get some connections, some network, whatever. So I had to take all these maths or whatever. So I'm like, hey, I really want to go to business school, but it took me a while because I had to take some maths, stuff like. So a lot of people just don't do business because of the math, the, you know, stuff you got to take. But I was like, I want to get in there. So I worked, and to get in there, my sophomore year, spring semester, I was fully initiated into the School of Business, but I was taking some classes I was able to.
Right.
And then it was like really jam-packed because I had to take a lot of core classes if I wanted to graduate on time, you know. But when I was in there, met with so many like different companies, Fortune 500 companies was coming to speak. We had projects, we had group meetings, like we had to wear suits on certain days. And it just taught me a lot. You know, it was very active, but it taught me a lot about life, even doing business. And specifically in the School of Business, I was international business with a concentration of finance. So got to think about not just business from a United States level, but cultural customs internationally. So even those things of like how we do business here, we may go to lunch or have a, you know, conference table, but you go to Asia, you know, they may have you do something different, or like, you know, greet them a certain way. And like, you know, you kind of need to learn these customs if you're doing these type of business deals, you know? So I was like, it was great exposure. So yeah, that was my major, but I think it really helped develop me to one of the people I am today, honestly.
Right. If you had like a moment at Howard, just like that always is sticking or is going to stick with you, what do you feel that is?
A moment, or just like something I've been through? Yeah,
something that you've been through there, or, you know, I know you said like, they had certain people coming by. Did you ever get to see anybody after you joined the program? Like, I know you said companies came and talked, but just what were some of the really like richest moments at the HBCU?
I think just every day, like being like, honestly, seeing so many people like, what's it called? Cam Newton, his brother was there during that time, his little brother. And, you know, maybe we did like a study hall together or whatever, but it was just so funny because he came to speak and him and his brother was on the panel. And then after that, like, I was able to just kind of go there because I think I knew the brother or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just funny stuff like that.
Right.
You know, just kind of getting me in the norm of like being around people that a lot of people know,
Right.
you know.
And I'm thinking this is 2016, right? So
By that time, I'm a sophomore, so 2017,
okay.
2018.
So we're going into election year. I'm curious, what was politics? Because like I remember when I was at Savannah State, 2016, when it was the presidential election, we were there were people out protesting. I remember several of like the alphas, the AKAs, like all walking through downtown.
Oh yeah,
Savannah.
that was something serious. Like when that happened, it was just like, you know, you wanted, like, the classes wanted to be like, can we just like all go home? You know what I'm saying? Like, why we got to go to class? But it definitely was not the best feeling. It was definitely intense. I remember the night before trying to see what's going on. I remember I was keeping an update on my computer. Then I woke up and it was like quiet, you know. But I know specifically at Howard, it was kind of a little scary because, you know, the security was saying they needed us to stay in for like 2 or 3 days because I guess they were getting some threats.
Oh, wow.
You know, around the election time.
Yeah.
So it was just like for our safety, it was more of like, all right, y'all, you need to stay in, get what you need to get. And like security is on 10 for a couple of days. And then it kind of got back to normal a little bit.
Was there any other like activism or community work that you were doing while you were in college?
I definitely been to a couple marches.
Did you ever get to implement Fun Fit and Fabulous out there?
You know what? That was definitely smart. But no, every time I did Fun Fit Fabulous, I came back home. So like when I did have like my breaks, it was like I'm doing the camp in Athens. But you know, that could have definitely been an opportunity. But honestly, when I was there, I was just like trying to tackle my school.
Right.
But I definitely started to get more of that networking. So when I got to the School of Business, that was a great opportunity. I worked at Bloomberg when I graduated.
Oh, awesome.
So, you know, they came to the facility. I connected with them.
Yeah.
Went to maybe like spent one day at their facility or whatever, made some connections, and I, you know, got the job really after I graduated. So that was a great connect.
We stay into that. What was that like?
That was a cool experience. I mean, I was a financial analyst and sales representative, but it was during COVID, so life was weird. I had the opportunity to go to California or New York. I never been to New York at that time to like work or anything, but a lot of my family are in California. So the person I was working with, I was like, what should I do? She was like, try New York, because it's like, that's like, you know, you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. It's like a new experience and everything. So I was like, okay, I don't know about it, but I'll try it out. So that's what I did. So that was like a lot of growing moments.
Yeah. I mean, you went from home to now you're in New York by the time you graduated. I mean, yeah, sorry, but
yeah, it's like life is interesting, right? So, but before I had graduated, I got connected with an alum who does this thing called HBC Unite. So he works with the NBA, and I interned with him my senior year. So he was going on tour. So I was his executive assistant. So, you know, that was my experience being at the NBA, you know, we basically help students know about HBCUs. So like how we're talking about the friends, we're creating that environment of like, hey, you know, sign up to HBCU, you know, it's a great place to be. So I don't know if you've been to the Battle of the Bands in Atlanta, right? So, and sometimes they have those Black colleges, right? So that kind of idea, but like at the NBA, you know, type of thing. So, yeah, he has a great program still going on to today. He goes to different facilities. So to be part of that was just so amazing. Like I was like the mic runner. So when I'm there, I'm running the questions to the crowd. Right. You know, then after that, we get to watch the game. And, you know, it was just an amazing experience. So that's usually at the Barclays Center in New York. Okay. So I was doing that for a good couple years. Wow. Then COVID happened, so we had to go virtual, so that wasn't actually, but after COVID kind of got back up, I went back on tour with them, you know, just to like spend time. So even being out here, I may go for a couple days to New York, and then he had one in LA at the Clippers, and then one in Philly. So, you know, that's just great exposure, you know. So honestly, that a Howard Connect, Howard alum, you know, and he's such a great supporter. His name is Dre, and we're like really good friends to today. So this is like opportunities like that came from an amazing institution, you know. But I think part of it was me hungry, like looking for stuff, and I can't even really remember all the way how I got connected with him. But I'm so glad I did. So these are like, I think, memorable things like from college. Okay,
so when it comes to like you're in New York. Where are you even staying in New York? Are you in like Hell's Kitchen or you're in Queens?
Yeah.
Okay. So like what?
Parsons Boulevard.
Oh, so from Little Old Athens to Queens, what's your life like? What's your mindset like? I mean, you got to be feeling good and like how far you've come. Like, what were you really facing then after the pandemic? You're in New York. Like, what made you want to come back home after you've seen a lot of stuff, you've gotten a lot of experience?
Yeah.
You know, like kind of what led you to where we are now, you know?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm so grateful for everything. I'm so grateful to have experienced so much and to have these experiences in major cities or the capital, because they were dynamic, they were beautiful. At the same time, it also brought light to what was really important to me. You know, a lot of these things sounded beautiful, and they were. At the same time, you still have your spirit and your soul, right? So maybe if I didn't chase these dreams or whatever, like early, I probably, whatever I'm doing, I'm not satisfied. I'm like, I need to be doing that. I'll be so focused on trying to do those goals because they sound flashy, they sound beautiful, but how do they really feel? And that's what I was mirrored with. So it sounded nice. I mean, definitely it did its thing, but it was just like I had a different calling. I had a higher calling, at least for right now. And that's what was mirroring me back. You know, doing these things, helping Bloomberg, you know, at the company, doing what I could do was great. You know, at the same time, it still was great money. Oh my gosh, great money. I mean, like, that was like the best part.
Right.
And, you know, but.
No, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, God bless, you know, like, yes. But I had a studio in New York. Okay. You know, living by myself.
Right. I bet that had to be a real experience. Early 20s.
Yeah. You know, but it was COVID. So like I had my place, but I don't think I really experienced New York at its height where like people were out. We're in the subway. The subway, you had 6 feet apart. You know what I'm saying? When it's usually like crammed, you know, so I got to only experience out of pockets, but not like in the depth of me working there.
Right.
But you know, so a lot of self-time, you know, walking around the park, you know, going shopping or whatever. Like it was just a lot of me and like dealing with Fajr and my thoughts, you know, truly just me. It wasn't like now with school. It's like me at work and like, what is life like right now? So
well, I'll follow up. So you leaving New York, what was that process like? Like, how was it coming back and really getting acclimated to just what the next chapter was going to be after that?
So after working there, like I said, it was that whole COVID situation, and I still have my scholarship, the Bill Gates scholarship. And honestly, with that scholarship, you're on a time crunch. Like I don't have that scholarship for too long. So the idea was to get some work in because I wanted to start making some type of money from being in school for so long that I'm like, I want this thing to pay off. Like I need to see some type of dollars. You know, I was just like craving that. So when that opportunity happened, I was like, great, get some experience. And then honestly, by the time, because my senior year at Howard, second semester was COVID. So the semester before we were in person, going to school. That last semester, we got into COVID, right? So like, I didn't even really have a physical graduation, right? So it was just very heartbreaking. You did all this work and it was like, what is life? You know, it was just kind of like, what is going on with the world? So for me, COVID was a big thing because it was just like, life, what I thought it was, isn't all the way. And I had to start thinking about things a little bit differently a little bit. So I definitely did a lot of internal reflection and everything. But what that process was like, as your question was coming back here, was my grad school. So when I graduated, I was not thinking about grad school at all. I'm like, I'm here to work, like do other stuff. Like I do not want to go back to school. But kind of like with COVID, everything, like the job market was just an interesting place. Life was closed down. And then being in New York, everything was just different, like curfew, can't be out here, stuff like that. And I'm like, this is very like yes, I got my own place, but I'm not even that free. Like, I'm free to like my little stuff, but on like
Explore
and stuff like that. Even there was just rules because everybody trying to, so much people, stuff like that. And I'm like, and then I'll keep visiting Georgia. I'm like, every week I'm like, I'm coming home, you know. And every time I came home, I'm like, I want to stay. Like, I want to stay. And it was like the trees. I miss the trees. I miss just walking around.
the little things.
Yes, and it's just like, even just being around, and like it wasn't all these restrictions, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like, cause this ain't it right now. So I think the pandemic drove me back. I was just like, nah, I miss Georgia. And it was just so much out of everywhere, the most like laid back. And then, I mean, we have a lot of nature. So it wasn't even like, I don't know if there was that much cases down here, but it was just like people were still functioning and stuff like that. And it made me feel more normal. It made me feel more myself, where these other places was new, and it was just like an environment I couldn't really grow too much because of the condition of the world.
Yeah.
So I was really craving, like, you know, coming home. And I've been away from home so long. Think about it, me going to Howard for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I've been gone since high school.
Right.
You know, so
Not the same little girl.
it's different, you know. So I wanted to, you know, see how it was like coming back and getting reacclimated, and to really find I have a beautiful network. I mean, I knew that, but like kind of coming back, it's like, it's actually rich network. I mean, all these other things are great, but like what do I really feel, and what do I really want to bring out to the world? So
Right.
Fun Fit Fabulous was something that, yes, I had started, but it was a full circle moment. I had started to help me create this foundation, see the world, but I've always wanted to develop it, but I was always occupied with so many other things, school, you know, working here, working there. So this was an opportunity to, you know, give it a shot, to focus on it without all these other responsibilities always on my plate, you know. So yeah, I think, like, you know, the pandemic kind of drove me back, missing home, the freedom a little bit here compared to the other states at the time.
Right.
And then me starting grad school. So I did Georgia State, so I would commute. They had like hybrid. Okay. So sometimes you had to go in person, sometimes at home. Sometimes it was just asynchronous online. Sometimes it was synchronous, which means you have to meet at a certain time. So it was like an interesting period because they were getting back from COVID. So they were trying to get to normal, but not fully.
So when you got back, what was it as far as, you know, you got these networks? How'd you, like, you know, feet hit the ground running? How was that? Like,
it was a process. So I first came back, you know, school. When I was at Howard, I didn't really work at all, because thankfully I had my scholarship. But the situations were different for grad school. So my scholarship covers tuition and housing for undergrad. But when it comes to grad school, only tuition's being paid for, not housing. So I also was financially trying to be smart. So there's a couple of things I like, well, yeah, let me be home, you know, do that to try to save a little bit, you know. So that was also probably a determining factor. But when I first started, I'm like, I don't know if I can juggle working and school. I never did that before. So that was just like me trying to get a slow start. I was first maybe looking at some opportunities in here, maybe at UGA or something like that. But I'm like, can I manage a full-time and school? I don't know, but let's try to see. So I tried to do that. I don't think that specific opportunity necessarily worked out, but I wanted to do something kind of more lightweight, because I was literally working in corporate finance, like very intense type of job that I'm like, this next job, I wanted to be kind of fun and laid back. And I really, like, out of nowhere, just wanted to try Ulta Beauty. So we have, it's very laid back. But like, as a girl, I love the cashier. And I was just like, I want to, you know, I'm like, I never worked this type of job. And I know this is like not even a degree job, but I'm like, school. And at that time I was applying. So I came home and I was applying to school. So I'm like, this is not so mentally taxing, because I even was trying to apply to grad school when I was in New York working, but I was so consumed in that job. It was so hard for me to even pick up a little pen by the time it was the weekend, right? So I was like, if I'm really trying to apply and understand how to get into grad school, I need something that's kind of like lightweight, you know, pretty like secondhand nature, making a couple of dollars, and I can focus on what I'm really trying to do. So I was working at Ulta for a while. That was a great like transition job. It was so amazing, because I think that job really, I got to connect connect with the community again, because everybody was in their store. Everybody, my mama, my cousins, you know, especially Christmas time, the husbands are shopping for it. So I'll connect. Hey, girl, oh my God, haven't seen you. How was that? You know, so I'm on the cashier, you know, really connecting back with the Athens community.
Right.
So while doing that, then of course, Brother Life, definitely connected with him. We met up a couple of times, and they were starting this new program in Athens, and that was Youth Force Innovation Hub.
Okay.
So an opportunity came. I think he was talking to my sister working on a project, and that opportunity came up. So I was working as a program coordinator. So after working at Ulta Beauty, I was a program coordinator, and that organization was partnering with the Boys and Girls Club. So that's when I started to see, like, hey, like, this is the work being done in the community. This is how we do it. These are active programs. Like, so I started to get kind of more closer into the vision I had and like how the different infrastructures within the community works. And I was part of those projects in developing this new organization and helping them. But also by helping them, they heard the stuff I did.
Right.
So some people started speaking on my behalf. Like, there's this girl who has this program, like, you want to give her a shot, you know, so got to do it. I'm like, I never did this program this long before, but let's give it a shot. So I first, like I said, started off like I did a free run. And then by the time the opportunity came again, I was able to, you know, kind of like, hey, yeah, or like, you know, partner with some money on it to like with me graduating and everything. I'm like, hey, this is taking a little bit more seriously, you know? So just me developing as an individual too, of like being, you know, able to network and speak at different places. Like, I really enjoy these things. I love connecting with different creatives and just like speaking at different places and like growing as an individual, but also too to see that impact I can do with these little girls and just the community. It's so humbling. It really is. And I feel like me doing the work I'm doing, I'm grateful for it, but it's like, as I'm teaching them, they're teaching me. And it really feels like the circle of life, because I was a little girl going through it, not knowing if I was on the right track. I hope I was, but God bless it, ended up being a good track. So like, now I know that track worked. I'm telling these girls, like, you on the right track. You doing, you know, just keep doing these tools. It's going to work out, you know? So where that other time I was just like, I hope it works out. You know, a lot of that time was just like, trying to just hope about it. But now I can be like, hey, girls, you do these tools for the most part, you know, you should get a good trajectory. You know? So
I love to hear this. This is a great story, y'all. Y'all really gotta tap in, because some of these things, like, I feel like, you know, we all want to go. Some people want to go to the city, and you can go to the city. You can get that experience. But some of these things that are really rich in life, I've just learned, and you know, it's definitely better in the sense of the impact over the profit, you know? And so I you know, I want to understand more really how you got, you know, you got locked in with the Boys and Girls Club. Now you're, you know, the programs, how long has it been running now since you've gotten back?
Well, yeah, like from the contract that I had with the Boys and Girls Club, that was October of 2024.
Okay.
And now we're in March,
yeah. So now you've been doing it for a little bit. What are some of the things now that you had Fun, Fit, and Fabulous before you left college?
Yeah.
Now it's growing and evolving and becoming new things. So like now, what is the new life being breathed into it now? Like now that you have this partnership, you're able to do more. Just what new options are available to you?
Yeah, so like definitely new options of just different people doing great things in the community in this work. So like just actually connected with somebody, Mentor Georgia. She's a person at the University of Georgia doing this great work, and just kind of telling her the work that I'm doing. You know, she wants to get more information about the Boys and Girls Club. So just exchanging information, connecting with each other, supporting each other, trying to get into new networks. But I think the expansiveness is just like, you know, I definitely had a couple of tiers of my business. So I had the camp tier. I also had the merch. So I have merch. So I'm actually wearing my logo right now.
Okay, nice.
So yeah.
We'll put the link in the description for y'all.
Well, this one actually is called Still I Rise, but this one I didn't put on the market to sell. But the one that says Still I Rise with this bling was sold out.
It looks nice.
Thank you.
It looks great.
Yeah, this is our new logo. It's an angel wing, but it's also an F and a 3.
Got you. I love it. I love the creative design.
Yeah, thank you.
It definitely looks nice. So now, like, you know, is that all the camp tier, merch tier? Is there any other tiers?
Social media. So,
okay.
I also have my social media page. So I first had my website, but as social media's continue to grow, I'm like, it needs its own page. So I actually have the girls, what I do with the girls sometimes you guys get to keep up to date with what we're doing. I'm always posting motivational quotes on my stories.
Right.
So it's a sisterhood network. So I have that social media is to keep the active, engaged followers that are not necessarily the students, but the students can join as well. But it's for the world and anybody who wants to stay in positivity, see what we're doing. It gets them a platform to engage. So
right.
I have that social media platform that I hope really dearly. It's like literally my own inspiration. I'm always putting up something positive in my stories,
right.
showing what we're doing, some recaps, or just, some healthy tips or whatever.
This is going on.
What's going on, an article, whatever. You get to get that media part of like what's going on in my life or the business life on there. And then those curriculums that are more extended out. So at first was a clinic camp one day, but now I do spring semester, summer semester, or fall semester, or the whole year, depending on what the client needs. So
what are some of those things that you've seen some of the kids need from the program?
I mean, that benefit, I think all of it. I mean, it's a curriculum that I created, but it's how you said earlier, the mind, physical, and emotional aspects of things. So we hit on so many different topics of, mental tenacity, target goals, time management, nutritional education. So creative mind. So I think that part of the program is just a encompass of a lot of different things that I have for the girls, but I think really showing up and them seeing somebody that was from their community and the things that I do. And I've also created a journal book, and on the journal book, it has me. It says living life, fun, fit, fabulous. And it has me with my Howard shirt. So it's showing the girls subconsciously, I'm from the community. I went to college. I'm back. I'm doing my business. It's speaking volumes by not just showing up, but the imagery that's going on.
So we were talking about imagery and how imagery matters. And I'm just curious of what was the imagery that, you saw when you were here in Athens? What was that kind of, inspired you to want to, be more, work more?
Right. I had definitely a great village around me. First off, I think I was clear as a student or a person of what I was trying to do. People knew I was very ambitious, and I really feel like just the energy I brung, people were gravitating towards giving me the resources, and I really appreciate and give all flowers to that. Some people that I got really involved with here in my high school was Marvin Nunley. He had a youth academy program and really learned a lot from his leadership. I was president of the organization for 2 years, and every time I had that meeting, I had to stand up, say my name, where I'm from, what year I am, and present, okay, this is what we're going to be talking about. I never really understood what that was about, but it helped me be more stronger when it was time to network and to speak up, and then fast forward to Howard, when I met Nick Cannon, I actually met Nick Cannon. He was in my roommate's class. Okay. And when the ending, he said, anytime you meet somebody, make sure they know your name. And I was thinking about it, well, what's the point of that? Because I'm you're somebody everybody knows. And if you feel like you're not somebody everybody knows, what's the point? But he's that's what I used to do. My name's Nick Cannon. My name's Nick Cannon. Now he's Nick Cannon. But he was just saying you better assert yourself. Right. You know what I'm saying? So these things of being able to speak. So somebody else though would maybe been so scared to speak to Nick Cannon. But I've been speaking to so many people, getting up every meeting, saying my name, this who's in the room, that I'm it's secondhand nature to me now. Fair. So literally in my DNA. Right. Another person, Jamie Oliver, she was my school counselor. She stayed on me. Any resources came through, she let me know, calling me from the office. She even sat me down where it was a struggle time for me, maybe about almost graduation. She was all right, girl, it's time to buckle in. We try and get that scholarship. So, you know what I'm saying? Just getting that other ear when I had maybe doubt of people saying, you sure you want to apply to the scholarship? Right. Only so few people get it. But I had people really in my corner rooting for me. I also was in JRTC. So Colonel McNichol, amazing colonel. Definitely rooted for me. He was actually one of my sponsors for F3. Like, I told him about my idea. He was like, here you go. I'm gonna write it off. Like,
Right.
you know, so like, you know, just things like that. Like people that saw me really day in, day out. Mr. Ragsdale, he does.
Oh, yeah.
I know you say you do journalism. So
Yep.
I did Odyssey for a year, but even my own social medias and knowing how to move. And I love how you're so into stories. I'm into stories as well.
Right.
And that training, the things that I do, I'm so passionate or connected with, and the importance of community. You know, a lot of things we do, fundraisers, whatever, like it just really helped me broaden my perspective and know my community's down for me.
Right.
But I also knew I had to do the work, you know? So I think those are definitely some good pillars. There's so much, probably more.
Right.
I mean, those are just a few that I can name kind of growing up here in Athens.
And if you had, because I remember you said you just released or you were part of a documentary that just came out. Mm-hmm. Just give us a little background onto that, and, you know, tell us how you were involved.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
So, Tierra Destiny Reed, she goes by Tierra Destiny, has her own production company, and she's very big on retreats, taking, you know, Black girls from America to South Africa. That's like one of her big things. So Life, maybe my freshman year, going into sophomore year, basically she needed an ambassador to go, right? So Life knew about me in my F3 program. He was like, I think you need to connect with Fajr. So we kind of had our first kind of interaction, you know, ended up being selected to be the ambassador. I went to South Africa, brought my program there, and I was so honored for the experience. I got my first journal out. So the journal that I'm doing now was something that I created for that trip, and it worked. And I wanted to see, can this program work internationally? Boom, it did. I mean, I already wanted it to be international. In my mind it was, but I got to see it and put it in practice. And it worked for those girls too. So I'm like, yep, this is a global thing, you know? But what I was trying to say was the documentary started from her. You know, she's taking these girls on these trips, but then she got into production. She has this thing called When Women Heal, and then she's into Tierra Destiny Productions, film, stuff like that. So she took a group of people to Puerto Rico, and we had exclusive interviews. So I was one of a couple, and she's very big on landscape. So you get to see the scenery of Puerto Rico. She also took another trip, maybe to the Grand Canyon, and had some film in South Africa. And it was just like this whole kind of put together production. I had like 2 major chunks of scenes in there, but it was a compilation of other people as well. But it was more of like an intimate dialogue. She's also worked with Oprah. Oh, wow. So she's done work with her and interview styles. So she knows how to ask questions, and sometimes deep questions. It's like, girl, where you pulling this from? You know? So that was a beautiful experience. And after we were done, a couple years later, we shot that 2 years ago. It just premiered the other week in Atlanta. So I don't even know if she had that full idea of how it was going to even be released, but she got a place at the Silver Spot Cinema is right by the Battery.
Yeah, I know the Battery. Yep.
Right there.
Okay.
The film. Had it in there, had a red carpet, sold out, you know, interviews going on, and just a great time. So it was amazing, though, even seeing myself on a big screen. I mean, we see each other, like, you know, on YouTube. Yeah. But, like, being, you know,
IMAX.
Yeah, like, you know, and then having some family in it, too, is like, oh, my God. You know? So I think that was definitely a big moment, and it goes to show that journey to lead to this moment to maybe help inspire somebody else to say, keep going. Like, that's a blessing.
Right.
You know? So
and proof in the pudding. All right. Well, Fajr, I really appreciate you for coming by. This was a great conversation. Is there anything that you want to let the audience know or leave, how they can support you, where they can find you, anything like that?
Yes. Well, thank you guys all for watching. Ron, you are amazing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. And yeah, the ways you guys can support, follow our Instagram page, fun.fit.fabulous. So that's just at fun.fit.fabulous. That's how y'all can stay up to date what we're doing. Y'all can reach out to me as well on my Instagram, Fajr Malika. But yeah, I'm a good community person. People need resources about college, questions, business. I'm usually, try to be available to people. But I feel like those are the big ways that you guys can support. And a lot of those announcements will probably be on that page as well. So we're growing. It's a lot of on the ground work right now. Like, social media is important for me as well, but it's like I'm trying to manage that as well. So
Right.
if you guys do want to keep up to date, just keep up with our Instagram and
come by the Boys and Girls Club. Come
Girls-
see the operation in person.
Yes.
You can see everything on social media, but she's going to show you in person how to really get active with some of this stuff.
Yeah, so you guys are free to join. Just come in there. You may just have to sign in like you're a guest for the day. Maybe, I don't know if they ask for ID, but for sure, just signing your name and
Right.
you can see it's in action. So yeah, that's the way you guys can come and support and follow what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming by, and we'll see y'all on the next episode of The Highlight.
See ya.